Hey guys, Ghost Tyler here. Regular Tyler is a little indisposed at the moment, but I figured in the spirit of the season, I'd make an appearance to talk about my favorite episodes of Star Trek. Additionally, I'll discuss what these episodes can tell us about the nature of the supernatural in the Star Trek universe. Let's get started. Number 1. Sub Rosa. This Season 7 episode of The Next Generation is divisive among fans, to be sure, but come on, it's got everything. A Scottish planet, a sentient candle, Beverly Crusher pleasuring herself, the works. In this episode, Dr. Crusher and the Enterprise crew attend her grandmother Felisa Howard's funeral on the planet Caldos II, which is a Federation colony that's been terraformed to mimic the Scottish Highlands down to the last detail lassie. Crusher inherits her grandmother's house and all of her possessions, including a special candle that acts as a receptacle for an anaphasic life form called Ronan. Ronan at first presents himself as a dashing 34-year-old man who Felisa had a lurid romantic relationship with. After tossing a camellia onto Felisa's grave, Ronan sheds his corporeal form and introduces himself to Crusher in her sleep. She has one of the most erotic dreams she's ever had, the details of which she just has to share the next day with Counselor Troy.
He knew exactly how I liked to be touched. The sensations were very real and extremely arousing.
Meanwhile, Ronan wreaks havoc on the planet's weather control system. As the Enterprise crew investigates this malfunction, Crusher returns to the planet and puts some more flowers on her grandmother's grave before she encounters Ronan, who has taken physical form once again. He reveals that he has fallen in love with every daughter in Crusher's family line, going all the way back to 1647. He tries to seduce Crusher once again, but she still feels something is not quite right. Instead of reporting that she's been invaded by a parasitic life form, Crusher, who admittedly is under Ronan's influence, coyly tells Troy that she's been seeing Felisa's former lover, which Troy is understandably conflicted about. Crusher learns that Ronan needs the candle to survive, which is why every woman in her family line has kept the candle lit. Crusher resigns from Starfleet. So stupid. Crusher resigns from Starfleet to live on Caldos as a healer and to get it on more often with Ronan, like every day. Picard is befuddled by this behavior and visits Beverly at her home, where he's attacked by Ronan, who possesses Felisa's deceased body and strikes Data and LaForge to the ground as they're investigating anaphasic energy readings.
You're not Nana. Nana's dead. Leave her alone!
Crusher, who finally comes to her senses, destroys the candle, and, well, Ronan along with it, lifting her family's curse once and for all. And then everybody clapped. In 2016, fans named Sub Rosa as the 719th best episode of Star Trek, out of 725, but they also, the next year, named it the 8th best romantic episode of Star Trek. Wow. Yeah.
Dinna light that candle.
Why not?
It'll bring the ghost.
Number 2, Time's Arrow. If you thought Sub Rosa was great, this 2-part episode of The Next Generation has even more to like. Time travel, aliens with funny foreheads, and of course, Samuel Clemens. Time's Arrow starts out with the Enterprise being recalled back to Earth to investigate evidence of aliens in San Francisco 500 years ago in the 19th century. Why did they specifically request the Enterprise? Well, in this cavern that hasn't been inhabited for half a millennium, they find Data's disembodied head. Data concludes this means he's fated to die in the past, which unsettles the rest of the crew, who want to find a way to prevent this, if they can. While examining a rock sample from the cavern, LaForge discovers a microfossil that is native only to Davidia 2. The Enterprise lays a course and finds a temporal disturbance on the planet. As the away team beams down to look for clues, Troy senses that life forms are present, but they're out of phase with the rest of the universe. The team sets up a subspace force field and sends Data through it, landing him in 19th century San Francisco. He meets a younger Guinan, as well as the man, the myth, the legend himself, Samuel Clemens. Clemens overhears Data telling Guinan the nature of his mission, leading Clemens to conclude that Data is here to tamper with the timeline, just as in Clemens' own novel, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Guinan helps Data gain access to the subterranean caverns, where he is joined by the rest of the crew, who figure out a way to join him in the past. And they uncover a plot by the Branch Davidians. Sorry, the Davidians, who are harvesting human neural energy and using the cholera epidemic as a cover. The crew thwarts the Davidians' operation by severing their connection with the past. In the process, Data's head is blown off but is reconnected to his headless body in the 24th century. Now, these Davidians aren't necessarily ghosts in the traditional sense, but their phase variance is rooted in real-world science. In particle physics, two signals are in phase if they constructively interfere with each other, such as when light waves interact such that they are coherent. But when two signals are out of phase, this is called destructive interference, and the waves are no longer in a superposition, an example of what is called quantum decoherence. This not only applies to light waves, but also radio waves, acoustic waves, surface water waves, gravity waves, and even matter waves. That's right, matter waves, because according to quantum mechanics, waves and particles are two manifestations of the same phenomenon. So the Davidians exist in a time dimension that is slightly out of phase with our own. It seems they've mastered some level of quantum engineering to manipulate their own phase, which is how they can pose as humans in the 19th century. As for how they evolved to be out of phase with the rest of us, it's possible that their native realm exists in the same kind of spatial interphase that links the prime and mirror universes. Their existence could be facilitated by some sort of supersymmetric field that is quantum entangled across multiple realities. Or alternatively, it could have something to do with the mycelial network.
The mycelial network is like
mycelial network! But what is certain is that they would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids.
Werewolf.
And finally, number 3, Daedalus. This 4th season episode of Star Trek Enterprise introduces us to the inventor of the transporter, Emery Erickson. He's come aboard the Enterprise to conduct an experiment with a new long-range transporter. Except not really. He's actually here to bring back his long-lost son Quinn, whose transporter pattern was lost in an early test years ago. He's been haunting a region of space known as the Barrens, where there are no stars for 100 light years. Erickson brings Quinn back from his subspace purgatory, but while Quinn is not fully aware of what's been happening to him, bringing him back causes his cells to degrade, killing him. Yeah, that's the episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm really interested to hear your ghostly thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a trick-or-treat thumbs up, and don't forget to spooky share it. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so I won't haunt you, and click the bell icon to scare the goblins away. If you want to support the channel even further, becoming a patron or a member is a great way to do so. Links to those, as well as the OrangeRiver social media and merch store, are in the description box below. That's all I have for this Halloween. I'll see you next year. Maybe.